Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition, not just any other edition actually, an extra spooky edition of Doom Mod Madness. Why is it extra spooky? Because it's the Halloween season, goddammit, and I am contractually obliged by YouTube to do a video like this every year, or something vaguely horrible will happen to me. Seriously, they get pretty hardcore about this shit on YouTube. They send you threatening messages, they park outside your house in black SUVs, so here I am, playing Unhinged. So what exactly do you do during the course of Unhinged? Well, for the very first part, which is this right here, you spend most of it wandering around, figuring out what exactly is going on here, because, I mean, there's flesh erupting from the ground. That's typically not a great start, but one of the more interesting things about this opening section is that it's very devoid of enemies. I mean, sure, you'll occasionally glance some horrific things through gaps in the walls, but you don't actually find yourself in a fight for a good long while here. It's just refreshing to see a mod that isn't afraid to let the atmosphere breathe a little, to let that dread settle in and make you wonder when exactly the horrible things are going to start bursting forth from the walls. Now, whether or not this mod will deliver on the promise to spook you will depend entirely on your reaction to some of its enemy types. Case in point, the Psycho Head here, which, after multiple playthroughs, is more funny than creepy to me now, and I can fully understand if someone just laughs at that straight away. But you have to realize that is actually a main enemy type here, and if you're wondering how it behaves, it's very similar to the jittery skull from Ghoul's Forest. As a result, the initial humor wears off pretty quickly. Thankfully, it doesn't do the whole one-hit kill jobby that you may be used to from Ghoul's Forest. It does munch on you a bit before it actually kills you, so you do have ample opportunity to fight back. And the whole giant grinning face theme is something that is prevalent throughout the entire course of Unhinged, becoming more and more prominent as you get deeper and deeper into its fleshy hell. But first, you're gonna find yourself fighting through a whole bunch of eight-legged monstrosities, ones that just don't friggin' shut up laughing at you, and I think they honestly missed a trick with this enemy type. I mean, sure, it's a grinning Doom Guy head attached to a spider, but have they ever watched The Thing? Spin that shit upside down. 100% creepier right there. There's almost a disarming kind of cheapness to the way certain aspects of Unhinged are actually put together. I mean, on one hand, you've got some pretty cool attention to detail, some interesting level design going on, and then on the other hand, you have flat-out unaltered pictures of grinning faces peeking out at you from the walls. In a word, I would describe it as jarring, but it is certainly something that you get used to over the course of the level, because this ain't a short ordeal. This is something that will take a fair while for you to get through, and it'll take a fair few tries to get through certain sections, because this is quite happy to ambush you with awkward enemy placements, so you're probably going to be relying on that old quick save button fairly frequently. If there's one part of Unhinged that genuinely impressed me, however, it would have to be this little part right here, because you fully expect to just go through this door to a room on the other side, and boom! You're in a completely different part of the map. Completely off-kilter transition that just puts you in the thick of it. You've got these smiley faces coming out of rivers of blood, and you just don't know what to expect from here on in. And I think that's one of the strongest attributes of Unhinged, constantly keeping the player on edge, not knowing what the hell is going to happen around the next corner. This is pretty much the point in the mod where any chuckles you may have been having at the expense of the theming start to die down ever so slightly, as you realize that this mod is pretty serious about the whole disembodied head and face thing, and it's just gonna get creepier and weirder and more twisted from here on in. Case in point, these deformed gore-puking pinkies. Nice little bit of a change from the whole chompy facey things, and you're going to be seeing a fair bit of that as well. You're going to get some weird, deformed versions of things you may recognize from Vanilla Doom, remixed, puking roughly 100% more gore, and you'll also run into much more horrifying face-style monsters like the Lurker here, which I have to admit, the first time I came across, I had no friggin' clue what was happening, because it just makes the entire level shake when you're nearby, and you have to wait for it to peak. before you can deal some damage to it. If you let it get too close to you and it pops up, that is pretty much a one-hit kill, as far as I can tell. But I've got to give props to the just flat-out weirdness of what's going on here. Another Unhinged oddity is the manner in which it treats its difficulty modes. You only get two for starters. You can choose between easy and insane. There is nothing in between, and depending on which one you choose, you will, of course, get drastically different experiences. Insane difficulty, which is what I'm playing on now, for example, features cacodemons. They don't feature at all in easy mode, and I'm pretty sure the imp heads down below in the pit don't feature on easy mode either. Now, that isn't anything especially new. That's a pretty common thing when it comes to difficulty selection. It'll swap out monsters or remove some entirely from a playthrough, but here in Unhinged, there's actually sections of level that only become available to you if you are playing on insane difficulty. Now, I might not have actually discovered this aspect of Unhinged if it wasn't for the fact that I was suffering from a bug during my playthrough that meant I couldn't activate a particular switch, a switch that was vital for me finding the blue keycard. So I cracked open the map in an editor just to see what I was missing, where it could possibly be. And that's when I spotted a few sections of map that I didn't recall being able to access, and these seemed like fairly significant chunks, not the kind of thing that you'd normally attribute to secret areas, so I thought, screw it, why not fire it up in insane difficulty and see where it takes me. Know where I ended up? Pain City. Population, all of the dickbags in the room ahead and the many rooms to come, because really insanity difficulty come a certain point just becomes an endless heaping of bullshit. Those extended sections of map, not strictly necessary. Really, it all comes down to how much of a masochist you are, how much you're willing to put yourself through for the sake of saying, I beat this on insanity difficulty and I actually beat the true final boss, because that's what's hidden behind insanity difficulty. If you play on easy, you just get a collection of familiar enemies near the arse end of it that you have to kill, and I gotta admit, it kind of feels underwhelming. But, oh, the crap you have to put yourself through to get there on insanity difficulty. Yeah, I wouldn't blame you if you engaged IDGAF mode like I did and just start abusing console commands. Truth is, if you're primarily looking for spookiness or creepiness out of Unhinged, I'd say you're mostly going to find that during the opening, during maybe the first quarter or so of gameplay here. After that, the mod seems to just drop the pretense, gives you the guns and just says, let's rock, let's just blast absolutely everything in sight. You're probably used to the floating, grinning faces by now, the grotesque flesh monsters that spew gore at you, but you know what, screw it, let's go nuts. I just wish that the challenge was a little bit more balanced. I feel like it would have worked out a lot more in the mod's favor. Instead of having easy mode or insanity mode, just make one mode that's made well and has a nice curve all the way through, because you've already got a really interesting theme. I mean, sure, the faces can be goofy and all, but it's memorable. It's not a mod that I'm gonna forget anytime soon, because I'm gonna instantly think, oh yeah, the mod with all the faces in it. So, bearing all of that in mind, would I recommend Unhinged? I think I'm going to come down on a solid maybe. If anything, give it a go on easy mode, see how you feel about it, because you still get the vast majority of the Unhinged experience here. It unfortunately boxes off a few sections of level that it reserves for insanity mode, but it'll give you a flavor for what to expect, and if you feel like expanding on that challenge, then yeah, sure, go for insanity mode. Just remember to bring some tissues, because you're going to get some rage-induced nosebleeds during the course of that playthrough, believe me. In any case, if you're interested, the link, as usual, is in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments below, and feel free to suggest any mods you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Doom Mod Madness. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.